Welcome back to the channel. We are your Emerald Coast relocation team. And I guess it's been a couple weeks, Trent and I covered 2 cities outside of Pensacola, and we left you with the question of whether or not it was going to be cheaper to be living outside of Pensacola. Well, today we're going to cover just that.
All right, let's go. If this is your first time watching, Pete and Chelsea Sweeney here, and what we like to do is cover all the Emerald Coast. We're talking Destin all the way over to Pensacola. If you are looking at purchasing real estate, we have a team licensed real estate agents here to help you out. Give us a call or text that phone number right below. Right below right there, we always answer. It doesn't matter date or time.
No worries if you're not ready to purchase yet. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Give us a thumbs up if you like that channel, and hit the notification bell because we are covering new cities, new content every week, and you are not going to want to miss it. All right, if you're new to our channel, you might not have seen a cost of living that we've done. We're gonna kind of combine a cost of living with you, and then also at the very end, you're gonna wanna stick around because we're gonna be talking about real numbers with these cities. But yep. Trent and I recently covered Cantonment and Beulah area, and because we think that might be the new hot spot with 9 Mile, we wanted to make sure that we also covered what it would cost to live in these areas. So we're gonna do a cost breakdown of not only Cantonment, but Beulah is gonna be kind of, I guess, in Pensacola. So we're gonna cover Pensacola to Florida, as well as Cantonment, and whether or not it's cheaper to live outside.
Now, how we like to approach these cost of living videos is where 100 is your national averages. If we're above that, obviously it's more expensive. If it's below it, then it's cheaper. And we like to take these from bestliving.net, I think it's
yep.
Best Living, I don't know, one of those sites, whatever. That's where we get all these numbers for. That way we are comparing apples to apples, not oranges to apples. All right, so first let's talk about that overall cost of living. First things we're gonna do is Pensacola, since that is the largest city that we are talking about. You're looking at an 89 out of 100. So national average is 100 and Pensacola's at 89, which means that it is cheaper than your national average. Quick note on that, Beulah is technically in that number, but we are gonna cover the real estate in Beulah separately towards the end of this video. Another question too is, where does Pensacola compare to Florida as a whole? So Florida as a whole is actually a 103.1. Florida as a whole is a little bit more expensive than your national average. So Pensacola, if you're looking at one of those more affordable cities to live within Florida, it's going to be Pensacola.
All right, you're probably asking, all right, Chelsea, like, what about Cantonment? Because we've seen this be a popular area. Cantonment overall comes in at an 89 as well. So it is actually the same overall, but let's see if that's true when going into the other categories.
The second category that we're going to be diving into are your groceries. What are you going to be spending on groceries when we're talking about Pensacola? We know that groceries are going up like crazy. So even with that national average being at 100, we know that's going up year after year with the crazy inflation that we've been seeing. So if we look at Pensacola though, it's a 96.6, so definitely below your national average. If we look at Florida as a whole, it's going to be a 102.8. So it's definitely a little bit cheaper in regards to groceries compared to Florida or the national average.
Now Cantonment, knowing that it's kind of in the northwest area and kind of out there from Pensacola, does that affect groceries? It does. It's at a 98.9. Now, Cantonment, the cool thing about Cantonment in comparison to, say, Beulah, because we don't have that special number to pull Beulah out of Pensacola, Cantonment is a little bit more established than, say, Beulah. So yes, Beulah has a couple different options, which we showed in the last video. If you haven't seen the last video Trent and I did, go check it out. We did some drive-by. However, Cantonment is a little bit more established, so I assume that those outer areas of Pensacola might even be driving up Pensacola as a whole because it's not as accessible as, say, Cantonment.
The third category that we're going to go into in regards to the cost of living is the health over in Pensacola as compared to Florida. So the cost of living index of health in Pensacola is a 98.1. If we're looking at Florida, it's going to be a 102.3.
All right, and then Cantonment, you would think it'd be different, but it's not. Thankfully, it's also at 98.1. So overall, health is very affordable in not only Pensacola, but the surrounding cities.
I totally had to just like bring, you guys probably saw me, I'm like 102.3. I was like, am I supposed to say anything else after that? I don't know.
Brain malfunction.
Yeah, it's totally like a pause. I'm like,
it's okay, I came in. I was like, I got this.
There you go. Yeah, she came right and she's like, all right, stop. I gotta go.
My turn.
The fourth thing that we're going to be covering, which is probably one of the most important ones you guys are looking for, is housing. When we do talk about this housing, please note this is for purchasing a house and then also renting a house and or apartment or any of those things right there. So housing on the cost of living index is actually a 63, crazy low, and compared to your national average. Where does Florida sit? Florida actually sits at a 101.6. 1.1. So Florida as a whole is a little bit more expensive than the national average. It's the craziest thing. I will tell you though, quick note on this. If you do decide to go over the 3 Mile Bridge, over into Gulf Breeze, Navarre, Pensacola Beach, this price is going to go up so much more dramatically. So kind of keep in mind that this is only talking about the mainland of Pensacola.
Also to note, in Pensacola itself, the closer you are to the bay, or even the bayou, you're gonna again see increased prices. Luckily, a lot of the houses in the heart of Pensacola are still very affordable when you're not next to downtown and when you're not next to the water. All right, now how does that equate to Cantonment? Cantonment is an 82.7. Again, we've been telling you at the end of this video, we're gonna get into some real numbers here, but that is a big difference, one of the probably biggest difference that we're gonna cover today from Cantonment to Pensacola, because we've talked about whether or not it's going to be more expensive out there. We think we might be leading you into what the category might be, but you gotta stick around to find out.
Yeah, it actually blows my mind. I would have thought that Pensacola would have been higher in housing as compared to Cantonment. The only thing I could think of with Cantonment is the fact that you have a little bit more land mass out there, and so you are seeing properties go for a little bit more in regards to that median sales price, but we'll break into those median sales prices here in a little bit. First, let's cover those utilities. What are you looking at paying that cost of living index on utilities over in Pensacola? It's a 105.3, so it's actually more expensive. This is something that we've actually experienced where it does seem like a utility is a little bit more expensive, kind of living in this panhandle area as compared to we have a property down in Clearwater. Utilities definitely seem a lot cheaper down there than they do up here. But let's just talk about that overall of Florida. It's actually at a 101.3, so a little bit above your national average, but not as high as Pensacola.
And Cantonment's coming in at 106.9. So again, taking kind of the height there, not a lot compared to Pensacola, but still one of the highest numbers when comparing Pensacola, Florida, and Cantonment itself.
All right, the next topic that we're going to be talking about is your transportation. So we're talking about your gas, your vehicle maintenance, auto insurance, stuff like that. What are you looking at? You're looking at an 89.8 over in Pensacola. Not bad. It's still below your national average, but that national average number has been going up quite a bit. If we look at Florida as a whole, you're looking at a 112.6. I'm surprised that this number is so far apart from Pensacola as compared to Florida. The only thing I can think of is maybe gas prices might be a little more expensive, auto insurances and stuff like that. That's the only thing I can really think of why that would be so much higher for the whole state of Florida as compared to just Pensacola.
Now with Pensacola being at 89.8, if we go over to Cantonment, it's going to be 96.3. I do not get that. I don't understand why car or transportation maybe just is further away and there's not as much bus. I'm thinking like maybe public transport would maybe play into this.
Yeah, it's crazy to kind of think about that. Yeah,
it's not
public
that
transit
far.
Yeah, it's not that far. The only thing I think of is it's a little bit further out there. Maybe your gas prices might be a little bit more. Maybe your auto insurances might be a little bit more. Mechanics, I don't see why mechanics would be more expensive out there.
I wish, if you know, say you live in Cantonment, you're a local, you're watching, thank you locals, we love you, but maybe you know, and if you do, please comment down below. Also, real quick, because I'm excited about this, Florida, we just found out, does allow you with your insurance to have one windshield replacement a year. I know this is really crazy, but this comes into transportation. So we're gonna talk about it. So your insurances will cover a windshield replacement, one per year, right?
Is it one per year?
Yeah, that's what they told me.
Oh, okay, cool. One per year, there you go.
And they have to cover it. Now, if you have a Tesla, just know there's some extra things to that, but we have resources for you. So just know that is kind of nice, because that was not the situation from the city that we came from, and you were replacing your windshield all the time, whereas here we do have nicer roads, so maybe they don't have to do it as often.
Yeah, maybe so.
All right, you stuck around this long, so we're gonna give you the good and the bad news. What we want to show you with these numbers is, number one, is it cheaper to live in Beulah versus Cantonment versus Pensacola? That's one thing. We also want to tie back into that last video of, is this going to be this new area? Because usually with our trends in housing, we can kind of see where people are trying to move, what's becoming more desirable, and that's exactly what you're gonna get in these numbers. Tell us what they are. Yeah,
so first let's talk about Beulah. So we haven't separated it with any of these other costs, but we were able to dive into the real estate. What's real estate going for over in Beulah? The median list price, make sure you note that, list price, not sales price, is actually $394,950. And that is actually down 11.1% since August. And that's crazy to think that it's down that much just since August. Now let's kind of look at Pensacola as a whole, since Beulah's kind of incorporated into that. You got a median list price of $395,000, so very similar to that number. And we actually have a number year over year that is down 18%. So it's crazy to think that it's went down that much year over year.
Yeah, I think it was cool to see, since Beulah's so close to Pensacola and the numbers are trending, we wanted to also show you that with housing, it's also kind of following that same trend.
Yeah.
We couldn't pull year over year with Beulah, but be able to see the same kind of trend from Pensacola shows that they're kind of trending the same from last month all the way through, year over year.
Yep. Now let's go ahead and dive over into Cantonment because we're seeing a different picture over there. So your median list price over there is $375,000.
Okay, so there's the first answer for you guys if you stuck around this long. Is it cheaper to live in Cantonment than Pensacola? We're showing that in most categories it is, but the housing, it was interesting that the housing in the cost of living showed a lot more, but when you're looking at actual list numbers, you still can get a more affordable house in Cantonment.
So here's the thing though, you might want to get into Cantonment now if that's somewhere that you are looking at, because that is actually up 25.5% year over year. That's kind of showing us that it is growing in popularity as compared to Pensacola.
Yeah, we can talk until we're blue in the face about what we're seeing on the market, but numbers don't lie, guys. It's cheaper to buy a house out there still, and it's becoming more and more popular. So when we're talking about this video, all in all, we covered how much it costs to live in Pensacola with all the different categories, how similar it is to Beulah, how the market trends and the housing is trending, but how Cantonment is skyrocketing.
Yeah.
We are going to start seeing this area pop up more, and I think it's also because that 9 Mile area we talked about, I guess, a couple videos ago. So, all right, we have talked about all the things today. If you are liking this, please subscribe to our channel, give us a thumbs up, and hit the notification bell so you're notified every single time we put out a new video. We are going to start doing some of these things of diving into these areas that might be multiple series. You're not going to miss it. Hit that subscribe button.
And of course, guys, if you are looking at purchasing real estate here at the Emerald Coast, give us a call or text that phone number right below. Right below right there, we are your licensed real estate agents to help you out with all those real estate needs. Until next time, we love you. Bye.
Bye.